That's nice.
Get the hell out of here. Fellas, how do you feel about JD and his move today, signing a free agent, not trade on the deadline? And was there any possibility of us getting any better player-wise? So any better? Look, Ezra Cleveland was the move. I think that would have been a really, really good move for the Jets to do. Now, I think what they're thinking is Roger Saffold doesn't cost a draft pick and has been in Keith Carter's offensive line system before, so he should be plug and play. And we got to see Justin Pugh come off the couch for the Giants. Why can't Roger Saffold come off the couch for the New York Jets and provide us a little bit of a boost? So I would have loved to have seen Ezra Cleveland because of how low of a draft pick it was and how young he is. But he's going into a contract year. Maybe the Vikings knew he was going to ask for a ton of money, and I don't know, maybe it wasn't something the Jets felt like parting with at this particular point in time. Matt, what do you think of Joe Douglas and his move with Saffold and not making a trade at the deadline?
Yeah, I would have rather made the trade for the better offensive lineman than just using, not giving up the draft capital and signing Saffold. I'm glad they did something, but my preference would have been going Ezra Cleveland because I think he is a better player than Roger Saffold is.
Green Bean, what about you? What did you think of JD's moves or lack thereof today, but then bringing in the free agent as opposed to making a trade?
Well, I was legitimately surprised that we didn't make a move today. Again, I didn't love the Mecole Hardman trade. He goes right to Kansas City, scores a touchdown. They were using him this weekend on end arounds. He looks great.
But he could be the reason they lost this past weekend. He muffed that punt.
Yeah, well, what are you going to do? You know what I mean?
Well, see, live by the sword, die by the sword. Green Bean, come
right.
on.
That's what I'm saying. But still, so he's, as far as being on this team, I think it was, I don't think the value's there. So if you're going to do stuff like that, I think, a sixth round pick for Ezra Cleveland, who's only in the league, 3 years, right? Was it 3, 4?
This is his fourth year. Yeah, he's going in. He's in a contract year now.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I just think it's a no-brainer. And Joe Douglas has extra sixths, so why not do it? But anyway, I do like grabbing Roger Saffold. It was just a couple years ago. Myself, among many Jets fans, were clamoring to sign him as a free agent. Now, he's a few years older, of course, and he's sitting on his couch, so there's that. But I still think he's going to be better than somebody we're pulling up from the practice squad, most likely. So I like it, but I was genuinely surprised that we didn't make any moves. On the seller piece, I'm glad that we didn't, and I told you guys why. I'm a believer in depth. I like having guys like Bryce Hall on the team. I like having guys like Carl Lawson. The money's already spent, man. Like we already have them. Why deplete it? Unless somebody's like, hey, I need a defensive end. I'll give you a third round pick for Carl. Okay, no problem. Bring it on. That's a move that you can make. But if we're talking about pick swaps and at the end of day 3, I just don't see the value. I'd much rather have the depth. But Ezra Cleveland was the move. And the Jags got a steal, in my opinion, and it's disheartening.
Yeah, it's really frustrating to see a player go for that little. But I'm with you on the trading away of players as well. I would have been fine if the Jets made a move and they're like, hey, we're not going to use Dalvin Cook anyway. But there's a part of me that looks at this past week and sees all our offensive linemen go down, or 2 weeks ago when we didn't have any of our cornerbacks. And just seeing like, wow, we're really lucky to have a Bryce Hall that can step in and be a starter if he needed to be. And you know what? If Bryce Hall goes down, look, I want to see Izzy, and I don't mind seeing Carter out there. But if I needed more of a bell cow type back, I think Cook is who I would roll with over, and then have Izzy be the guy that'll spell you at that point. And then Carl Lawson, like we said, if you lose one of your edge rushers, he can step right in. It's the cap relief that we would have seen would not have been that great where it would have, impacted us majorly next year. The reports for Carl Lawson is that the Jets would have had to eat more of his salary in order to facilitate a trade anyway. And then, I wouldn't have wanted to make a move just to make a move, and then we wind up leaving ourselves shorthanded. So, Matt, do you think there was what did you think about not making a trade of any of our players at the deadline?
Yeah, I would have been okay if they moved not a ton of pieces, but Carl Lawson, just because that's an area where they have a plethora and he's just going to sit on the scratch pad anyway. And I would like that to open up more opportunities for someone like Will McDonald. And then choose one of Michael Carter or Dalvin Cook to keep and trade the other and activate Izzy. More to just kind of force your hand to, activate Izzy Abanikanda and get him in the mix. So I understand like what Joe Douglas ended up saying after the fact. Like, oh, these are guys that we want to have here, important roles for the second half of the season. And I hear him. I understand where he's coming from, but it also, like, by trading, sometimes that opens up opportunities for some younger guys on the roster and guys who frankly just might be better than the guys in front of them right now. Like Carl Lawson, loved the signing. I thought he was good last year, but injuries have just really caught up with him. He's not the same player right now. Dalvin Cook looks kind of washed. Michael Carter looks nothing like the guy we saw in his first year in the league. So why not? Let's see what we have in Izzy Abanikanda.